Hey, folks, welcome to the Game Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. I am Mike Edge, your host. Nathan Rhodes is our guest today. He is the owner of Total Automotive in Chattanooga, Tennessee. All right, so before we start this episode is brought to you by Tread Partners. It is the digital marketing agency that specializes in multi-location tire and auto repair shops. Tread Partners works with its clients that have hundreds of locations down to 5 locations. Get a professional review of your digital marketing structure from an agency that works exclusively in this industry. Let Tread Partners take a look under your digital marketing hood today. To contact Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com. My past guest shout out today is for Roy Littlefield, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Tire Industry Association, also known as TIA. He and I discussed the important issue of right to repair. I highly recommend you listen to this. I highly recommend that you get involved. It's a big issue and it's important for all of us. It's basically freedom, that you get the right to repair your own vehicle versus having to take it back to a dealership, or you could take it to an independent tire and auto repair shop. It's that big a deal. But you can find this podcast at gaintractionpodcast.com. Welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast, the official podcast for tire business. I am Mike Edge, your host, and I have the privilege of interviewing the tire dealers, shop owners, counter sales reps, technicians, industry executives, and other thought leaders of our industry. So let's get started. All right, Nathan, we were introduced by Stephen Stamey. Welcome to the Gain Traction Podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, Stephen was an old-time guest on this show. I don't know, I think he was in my first year, so he recommended that I have you on the podcast. I'm glad we met.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So tell me about Chattanooga. It's a slow growth town, not moving very fast at all, from what I hear.
Well, yeah, maybe not.
No, that place is like a rocket right now, isn't it? I mean,
It really is. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of construction going on with the highways and interstates and things like that. You know, they're moving in strides. We'll say that. So we're having to do a lot of construction in that regard, just due to the growth.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How's that affect business for you guys?
Well, you know, it's good for business. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, your bottom line is you get more cars, you get more traffic, you get more exposure, you get more business. You know.
Do you pick up, because I think of Chattanooga and Nashville, you know, I'm above you guys in Kentucky, but I think of Nashville and Chattanooga as two cities that have signs out front all the time saying wide open for business. And the growth in those two cities is just, it's so exponential that I do not look forward to driving anytime I have to drive through either one of those. I mean, it's like a choke point now, you know?
Yeah, me either, honestly.
But I mean, I'm serious. So the last time I had to go to Atlanta, it's not worth flying to Atlanta from where I live, so it's easier to drive. But Chattanooga, I ended up literally stopping on the interstate. I think it was on the south side, like I was already through, but I was there for like 30 minutes, not moving. I mean, not even an inch, like just stay still. It was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the ridge cut, they call it, is always getting squelched down there. And they started construction on the other side, the north side of the ridge cut, widening it. And when you come through the ridge cut, basically leaving the city of Chattanooga, you know, that's where you make the decision if you're going to Atlanta or Knoxville.
Yeah.
And most everyone's going to Atlanta, but you know, they've had a tough go of it right there. They've had to widen that quite a bit. It's taken a very long time.
Yeah, it feels like they're always widening it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, tell me about yourself, you know, and to the audience. Are you born and raised in Chattanooga?
Actually born and raised in Ringgold, Georgia, just right outside of Chattanooga. It's on state line.
Yeah.
Tennessee, Georgia state line, Northwest Georgia, small town called Ringgold, Georgia. Went to Ringgold High School. Didn't get into sports too much. Played a little bit of sports, but was more in a vocational interest, basically in high school.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I did some vocational school. I actually went to school for machinist and welding.
Nice.
So, went to a Northwest Georgia technical college for machine shop and welding, and learned how to do all different types of welding, and measurements, of course, and some machining work, that kind of thing. So was
Well, then how'd you navigate to automotive?
it's funny when I was coming up and getting of the age to drive. It was pretty much known we weren't going to just be given a car like
Yeah.
kids are now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kids get cars now when they get to that age. They buy. It was never even a possibility when I was a kid. So, in order for me to drive, I had to buy kind of the first piece of junk that I came across, and of course, I was constantly, if I wanted to be on the road, I was constantly working on that car. But I've always been into cars, kind of a gearhead. My dad was into cars. He had muscle cars, and he was big into seeing that kind of thing. So I've always been that kind of into cars. But again, as a kid growing up driving, I had to kind of work on my own cars.
So for you, then automotive was not just I mean, it was a need in the sense that you needed to know how to do it, but you liked it. You liked it too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I always wanted to fix up a car and have a neat hot rod, that kind of thing. And it's kind of known for cars in school. I was first guy that chiseled up a stroker motor and that kind of thing when I was in high school. And I had a Nova, and I put big and little tires on it. I had wide tires on the back and skinnies up front. And always modifying stuff.
When did you, if you don't mind me asking, when did you graduate high school?
92.
Okay, so we're close to the same age, but I had a cousin about 10 years older than us, and he had the jacked up Nova with the wide tires in the back, little ones in the front. We thought he was the coolest dude around, But I mean, yeah, that's awesome. Well, so fast forward, how did you get to owning Total Automotive?
Wow, it's a long time ago. And when I was in high school, because I was driving, of course, we had to work. So I had a part-time job after school. I started, in the kitchen at Taco Bell, pretty much to pay for my gas and insurance on car. And
I got to interrupt you. I wore Taco Bell, the soft shell taco supremes out when I was that age. That was my go-to.
Exactly. Yep, I remember that. Anyway, I had a friend of mine. His name was Brian. He got me a job at Pep Boys as an installer, which is, sweeping the floors, taking out the trash, that kind of thing. Eventually they let me start putting tires on. So I was mounting and balancing tires. They did accessories in those days. So I put running boards on. And it just escalated from that to shocks and struts and then brakes. And then next thing you know, I was doing tune-ups and valve cover gaskets and this kind of thing. Tools were, I was taken by these guys, these mechanics that I worked with that had all these neat tools.
Yeah.
Huge toolboxes. And they, I was really impressed by these guys. So I started buying myself some tools. Just got into it in that regard. It took off from there. I started making some pretty decent money as a alignment specialist, and started taking some ASC tests. And gosh, the rest is history. It just kind of took off from there.
That's awesome. That's a cool story. So tell us a little bit about Total Automotive. How many bays do you guys have?
Oh gosh, I have 7. I have 6 racks, but I'm going to say probably 9, 10 days.
Nice.
I got some flat spaces. Yeah. We're very, very fortunate. We've got a nice, spacious shop. It's kind of set up like a dealer. You're not driving in, with these small bay doors. I've worked in some shops like that, but
Yeah.
Our shop is very, very spacious. So it's 5,000 square feet, just a shop. I've got a really nice office and some storage space, but it's we like to keep it clean. I feel very very serious about keeping a clean, well organized shop, and the guys can vouch for that. So
Crack the whip on that.
yeah, I don't like medicine. I don't like that kind of thing, but Yeah, we got a really nice space. Very, very fortunate in that regard.
What would you say? Like, one of my biggest listening audience is dealers, tire dealers, auto repair shop owners like yourself, operators, managers, frontline sales folks, and everything. What would you say sets you guys apart? What do you think makes you guys a special shop there in Chattanooga?
Well, personally,
I mean, cleanliness obviously is one of them, and I think that's a big deal. I've been in my fair share of shops, and people think it's clean, and I know that's a subjective opinion, but it's a big deal.
well, we're well known for doing the right thing. I mean, let's face it, in this industry, there's a lot of misconceptions about how cars work, and most people driving don't understand how complicated these late model engines and the components associated with them, drivability, check engine lights. When we had emissions here, we're not emissions county anymore, but when emissions came about and everyone had to get emissions tested, there was a lot of uncertainty about what was going to happen with people, and they couldn't get their car registered if they had check engine light on, and it was very, very difficult to navigate through that and explain to people how complicated a car. Unfortunately, when check engine light comes on, it doesn't tell you why it's on.
Yeah.
So, but my shop specifically, we're well known for doing the right thing. I mean, our customer service speaks a lot by itself. I mean, most people come in here, they want to see me, and I'm working in the shop, working on the front counter. But I take that very seriously, and I want to educate my customers, my clients, on what's going on with their vehicle, explain to them, how complicated it can be. So I feel very, very strongly about that. We don't do a whole lot of big advertising. Unfortunately, it's not in the budget for that. So most of our business come from word of mouth.
Yeah.
We've done pretty good. This actually today is my 6-year anniversary for being open.
Congratulations.
We opened in April of 2019.
So you opened on April Fool's Day in 2019, huh?
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, actually it started sometime in March, but officially April Fool's.
That's awesome, though. Well, congratulations. I'm honored to be interviewing you then on this day. But so with that size, how many employees do you guys have now?
3. There's three employees, and then myself. So,
okay.
Yeah, and that's kind of gone up and down over the years. I've got 2 veteran technicians and one guy who's 5-7 years in the industry. The other 2 guys, 20 plus. So I've got
you guys are really, I'm almost like a boutique shop then. I mean, you're very intimate with your clients. I mean, with your size and everything. So, I mean, it's likely that all the people in your company, your business know your clients very well.
Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah.
What do you see most of all today? What you talked about, the late model cars and everything. What do you, if you had to say in the Chattanooga market, what's the car that you guys work on the most? I mean, obviously it's going to be kind of detrimental to that vehicle, but whatever it is,
pretty much across the board, but variable valve timing and oil consumption issues are something that we deal with on a daily basis. Oil consumption has become a real thorn in our side as of late. And, we could talk for hours on the reasons why and why this is happening. But, we do a number of engine replacements here because of oil consumption. And, gosh, I hate to sound like a father browbeating their child, but, no one checks their oil anymore. They get their oil changed. They think they're good until the next oil change. And in most cases, that's just not the fact these days. Variable valve timing works in conjunction with oil and oil pressure, proper levels, the proper thickness. Yeah. And, if those vary in any shape, form, or fashion, it can wreak havoc on the engine. So we see that a lot. Dealing with it today, I mean, just thermostat phasers and things like that.
See, I got 5 kids. It's funny. I've got a couple of them that are very conscious of things like this, and I need them to be, because everybody's driving, and And I got a couple of them married off now, but I mean, I'm saying when they were growing up, I'd be like, "Hey, how's your oil doing?" I don't know. I was about, but then I had a couple of them that were always on top of it. You know what I mean? And they would tell me, and I'd be like, "Yes, thank you." You know what I'm saying? It's like because it's like running a little mini fleet, when you got every kid's driving or something, and some are off to school or camp or something, and then but yeah, it's funny that I see I'm on the side that always checked, even if I'm going to go drive somewhere, I just want to be safe, and I'm checking everything before I get on the road. There's some of my kids, it's just like, hey, dude, if it starts, I'm gone, and I think a lot of the population's that way.
It's not just kids; it's grown ups.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
They just think hey, if the key works and I stick it in here or I hit the fob and it takes off, I'm good.
yeah, yeah. Well, it used to be there was a standard that 1 quart every 3,000 miles was an acceptable amount of consumption, and now they're saying 1 quart every 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And some of these cars only hold 5 quarts of oil, and the manufacturer's telling that their interval is somewhere between 5 and 7,000 miles.
I know. Yeah.
So quick math will tell you that if
You're out.
yeah, you're out, and it happens a lot. And then the next thing you know, they're like, "Man, this thing's a piece of junk. Man, this car is not worth a flip." You know what I mean? It's like you're running out of oil. It doesn't have any oil in it, but that's just one out of hundreds of different things that we deal with. But I guess that's just something that sticks out in my mind right now, is oil consumption and the fact that there's tons of cars riding around with very little to no oil in them. Crazy.
It's mind-boggling. Well, if you had to give any advice to, like I said, we got our biggest listening audience is guys like yourself. What advice would you give to somebody that's thinking about starting up a shop?
Oh my gosh. Well,
What's the biggest thing you've learned or encountered? I mean, and that you could pass on and say, this is what I do different, or this is what I did right, as a business owner.
yeah, well, I think one of the things that I did right was being very, very cautious about my who I hired and employed.
Yeah.
I've made some bad decisions in the past, knee-jerk reaction to just putting a body into the shop. And, it's difficult. I think if you ask anybody, it's hard to find good technicians,
Yeah.
mechanics, somebody that shares your vision and takes their job seriously. I'm fortunate because I have a couple of craftsmen that agree with me on how things should be done. And they're not there just to turn some flat rate hours and make a bunch of money. They want to do the job correctly. They want to use the correct components. So I think that's very, very important. I mean, sheer numbers and volumes can make you a lot of money, but it can also bite you in the butt too. Wind up with a bunch of comebacks and rechecks, unhappy customers. That word of mouth moves along very quickly as well.
Yes, it does.
You have to, like I said, someone just asked me the other day about putting someone else, on the front counter to help us with just the number of customers we got coming in. And I'm like, I want to take my time and find the right person.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. I mean, it's different. It's very, very difficult. The cars are even more complicated than what they were when I started, and that was when they were just really starting to get into computer control things. So it's hard. It's one of the things that's been a challenge for me.
What about tires? Do you guys do anything in tires?
We do. We don't do a whole bunch in tires, but I've purchased tire equipment, and I'm hoping to grow in that area. I need to. I want to.
Yeah.
I know that tires and brakes are, a lot of shops' bread and butter, and that's how you get into, your other repairs.
Well, I always hear it gives you the tires give you a lifetime customer for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, we're doing more and more tires by the day. I don't have, sadly enough, I don't have an alignment machine as of yet. And when I do sell a set of tires, I'm a little bit like, oh, God, man, I hate to put on a set of tires on a car and not be able to offer an alignment.
Yeah.
That's coming up real soon. I mean,
Good.
Finally, I'm in a position to where I can purchase the alignment equipment I need. But it's not $5 or $6 grand. You're talking about 30, 40 grand. You get into an alignment system. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you, but I think that it's the right move for you. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
you gotta have it.
Yeah.
Well, what's your, on a personal level, what's your favorite movie of all time? It doesn't have to be of all time, just a good movie. And everybody always, if I ask this question, I don't always, but I used to, and I love this question, but, some people go, man, I got like 3 or 4. All right, well, let's name a couple of them. So if you got more than one, let me know.
Yeah, I love I guess my favorite, my go-to, and I've watched it 100 times probably, is The Natural with Robert Redford.
No kidding.
Really, really
I don't know that I've had anybody say that on this show since I started, but that's a great movie, man. You're a baseball guy if you like that movie.
I am. I am a baseball guy. I played baseball a little bit at school, but it's something about that era. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. I love the 40s, the music, the big band music that they played a lot in that movie.
Yeah.
And story, but I don't know. The Natural always sticks out to me. Of course, I loved A Few Good Men. I really, really like that movie. Shawshank Redemption. These are some really movies that I can just watch over and over and over again. But the Natural, I'd have to say, is probably my favorite movie of all
That's
time.
impressive, man. You probably liked that modern movie, a baseball movie, Moneyball with Brad Pitt. Did you ever see that?
I never sat down to watch it. I've seen snippets of it,
Okay.
but I've never sat down to watch it.
That's a good one.
Is that the one that's got the guy in it that used to be really heavy, curly-headed guy, heavy guy? Gosh, I'll never remember his name.
No, this one's all about a true story. Well, most of it's true in there. That it's about the Oakland A's and how he dialed them up based on statistics. And it's a statistical game. He realized Billy Bean is a guy that he's a real life character played by Brad Pitt that discovers a new way of drafting people or recruiting people and trading for people. And it was a formula they came up with. He hired this guru, and they looked for guys that manufactured runs, knew how to get on base, and knew how to score. And they may not be a big name, so they were undervalued, and he could go in and buy them at a better value, trade for them, and people never knew. In the beginning they thought he was nuts, but he ended up taking the least. He ended up taking the least valued team, the A's at the time, competing deep into the playoffs that year, and everybody learned something by his mechanism there. But now the Natural, man, yeah, you have to. But anybody listening that hadn't watched the Natural, they've got to watch that. That's just a great story. It's a good Robert Redford story. Glenn Close is in that too. She's she's his girlfriend, and then you'll recognize for everybody that's listening. There's other notable faces. I just can't think of their names right now.
Yeah, guy that played in the Days of Thunder.
Robert Redford.
No, that Robert Redford.
No, Robert Duvall. I'm sorry, Rob.
Duvall.
Yes,
Duvall.
yes, he's in there. I forgot about him. The other one that's in there is, this will crack people up. But did you ever see the movie The Christmas Story?
Oh yeah.
All right, the dad. The dad plays the bad guy kind of in The Natural, and he's the one that
Didn't know that till just now, but yeah, you're absolutely right. That's him.
two completely different characters,
City is.
Yes. Yes.
Gus was his name.
Yes. That's it. That's awesome. Anything that you live by, a little motto or quote that you kind of have maybe as a mission statement in the building or
Well, again, one that I just heard recently, and I think I might have just seen it on Facebook. It said if you can get up at 7 a.m. to make someone else's dream come true, you could also get up at 5 a.m. to make your dream come true. And that hit me pretty good. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's true. Get up a couple hours earlier and hit it hard and try to make your dream come true instead of just hanging out until it's time to go to work to make somebody else's dream come true. I think that's a pretty good one.
I like that. That's impressive. Well, I got to tell you, I'm glad you came on the Gain Traction podcast. I'm glad Steven introduced us, and if I'm ever in the Chattanooga area, I'll look you up.
All right, man, do it.
All right. Well, Nathan, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike.
To our listeners out there, thank you for being part of our podcast. We are grateful for you. If you'd like to find more podcasts like this, you can find them at gaintractionpodcast.com. Till next week, have a great day. To all our listeners, thank you for being part of the Gain Traction Podcast. We are grateful for you. If you'd like to find more podcasts like this, please visit gaintractionpodcast.com. If you'd like to make a guest recommendation, please email me at mike@treadpartners.com. This episode has been powered by Tread Partners, the leader in digital marketing for multi-location tire and auto repair shops. To learn more about Tread Partners, visit treadpartners.com.